Wow, what a weird, crazy, cool, creepy, wow, sort of family that these people are.
Hunter x Hunter, episode 24, the Zoldyck family.
They're like the goddamn Addams family on crack.
This is so much fun. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and newly anointed hunters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review and another magnificent episode of Hunter x Hunter. Our last episode, of course, saw us with the butler apprentice, Canary, trying to stop Gon from crossing this line. And as he did, and as he's shown us before, he has this resolve. He just keeps coming. Anyway, she finally winds up letting him pass and kind of shows a moment of weakness, a bit of compassion, and winds up getting blasted, it looks like, in the head for it. I thought she was dead by Killua's mother and his sister. So we that's how the episode leaves off, with her saying that, sorry, Killua sends a message. He's thankful you came here, but sorry, he can't see you right now. He's busy, type of thing, So that's where things left off. And things pick up, actually, the first half of the episode. And at first I was a little disappointed, but I enjoyed it once I got through it. Was a flashback. It was showing Killua's younger days. He comes back from a mission, an assassination, and his brother Illumi is there, asking him what he did and everything else. And Killua's like, I'm sure you were watching me the whole time. And then we see too, most of it centers around this young girl, Canary, who is a butler's apprentice, and it shows she tries to talk with Killua a little bit, and he's trying to show her some moves, his shadow step and everything else. Then all of a sudden there's this moment where she goes, oh my god, there's intruders, and Killua's like, it's all right, let Mike handle it, right? The big cool wolf dog thing, the giant beast. And she's like, no, they restrained Mike for today. They want me to, they want me to take care of an intruder, kind of to test me, So this is where we go and we see, where we wind up seeing the other guardsman that now is a guardsman or what have you. We want Zebro, his friend, the other guardsman. I forget his name for the life of me, but he came in with a band of guys. I don't know, 20 or 30 guys. One of them, the leader, was proclaimed himself as a hunter, and these guys were all just handily defeated and taken care of. Really cool action scene, by the way. With Canary, the animation just fluid, beautiful. The colors pop. Everything moves very well. You know what I mean? There's no stutter or drop in frame rate. And very, very cool stuff. She winds up taking out, just about everybody, and then, of course, leaves the leader there. And he says, and I'm not going to turn back now. And he pulls out these swords and comes at her, and she blocks his sword attacks. Then he opens his mouth, and he's got these two in his tongue. He's got these on his tongue. He's got these two little daggers almost. These little really cool looking things, man. Little knives, whatever, piercing objects, and he goes and spits them at her. She dodges one, the other one hits her. She winds up going and just taking this guy out by using that shadow step that Killua had taught her before. She does that and just handily defeats him. Afterwards, there's a little bit of talk between her and Killua, and you can tell Killua's mother is a freak, man. Absolute freak. She's like hiding in the bushes, watching him and stuff like that. And because Killua says, would you be my friend? And this girl goes and senses that the mother's there, and then says, no, I'm sorry, Killua, son. It has to be like an all business type relationship. We also find out that this girl, Canary, and I don't know if she'll play a part in any part in the future over here, because we come out of the flashback, find out she's not dead. She's just been knocked unconscious. But she comes from Meteor City. I don't know what the deal is with it. They just kind of showed a quick brief thing of it, but it looks like this desolate type of place. Nonetheless, though, she is very good and has some major skills, it seems like, because Killua goes and he's like, I wanted to show you that move, that shadow technique, and you already knew it, And what do you think, you're stronger than me? And she says, no, not at all. But nonetheless, though, this really kind of just sets a backdrop as to how effed up this family is, man. Real messed up. I think. So we come out of the halftime, thing there and come back for the second half of the episode. And as they come out of the flashback, obviously Gon and Leorio and Kurapika are sitting over this girl Canary, and it turns out that she is alive. She's just unconscious. The mother goes and then all of a sudden goes and freaks out. She's got this visor thing that makes her look like Cyclops. Also has like a built-in, apparently it's like a headset type deal too, 'cause it's got like a built-in mic and everything. And all of a sudden she's like, what? No, father, no. So then we go back into the crazy mansion and the dungeon of horrors where Killua's been chained up, and we see his rotund brother, Miliki, I think that's his name. Anyway, they call him Mill for short, but nonetheless, though, he's just whipping the shit out of Killua, and Killua's like, "Hey, listen, bro, I'm sorry I stabbed you in the face, or sorry I stabbed you, sorry, you know." And this guy's like, "No, you're not," and he's like, "Oh, you could tell." So this kid winds up going and threatening. He's like, "Yeah, I can, I could have your 3 friends killed right now." And Killua just goes and just pulls one of the chains straight up out of the ceiling, right, with his arm, and he's just like, "You do that, and I will kill you. I will erase you from this planet." I was like, oh shit, Killua's just been hanging. He could get out of the chain anytime he wants, you know. Nonetheless, though, we then are introduced, and this episode is a backdrop and a setting to introduce all of pretty much the Zoldyck family. The mother is messed up. The grandfather seems to have some brains about him. Zeno, I think his name is, or Zeno. He comes in and tells Mill, just let him go, you know. So Killua goes and pulls out the other chains, breaks all ones off his legs, and he could have left at any time. He's not sorry for what he did, but he says he feels bad, so that's why he let him torture him. You know what I mean? He let him torture him and whip him and everything else for maybe days, I don't know, hours, days. Anyway, the grandfather goes and winds up telling him, your father wants to see you, Silva, right? So Killua's like, oh, okay, right? So he goes off to meet with his father, and then it kind of goes back out, and they show Gon and company have decided that they're going to go and actually, first they talk about they're not going to turn back like the mother says, because the mother and the daughter, Kaluto, I think her name was, she actually looks like somebody from Naruto, but they go off to go. She goes off to kind of head off this thing. She's pissed off that obviously Killua was going to be let free and everything else. So she's, like I said, she's a total freak. So she goes off. They're going to chase after her and follow her. And then they're like, yeah, but then she'll take the brunt of it. The butler's apprentice. So the butler's apprentice, this canary, says, listen, I'll take you guys to the butler's shack or whatever, the butler's quarters. From there, there's a phone that goes directly to the mansion, and you can talk to Zeno, which is, we find out, obviously, Killua's grandpa. So whole family, though, top to bottom, man, just a little bit messed up. And it's funny because then they go, and the episode then goes and it takes us to the most interesting part, which is a great conversation between Killua and his father, Silva, this big hulking beast of a man. Dude's got this long flowing hair, man, just looks really cool, right? And he's in there and he's asking Killua, he says, how was the hunter exam? And Killua says, oh, it was easy, and he says, well, sit down, I want you to tell me about it. And it was neat to see because from what I saw of everybody else in this family, I thought that it was going to be like, we got to break this dude out, and he's going to have to hurt or kill or maim some of his own family members because they're so messed up in the head, right? The father sits down, though, and talks with Killua and really tries to have this heart-to-heart father-son conversation, and goes on to explain to him that, hey, listen, this is the first time we've really had a chance to do this, okay? And Killua's 12 years old now. My father raised me as an assassin, so it was cold, it was calculated. There was no heart-to-heart talks, you know what I mean? There's no, how are you doing today, son? You know what I mean? It's a very cold existence, right? And you can tell just by the walls in this place, the lighting, everything is done with the animation very beautifully because it makes you feel like it's this cold, desolate castle, like a ghost, like a haunted mansion, so to speak, right? And but Silva is talking to him and genuinely wanting to know, about his friends, about this, about that. So then he's, oh, you made friends, Killua says, yeah, and he's talking to him about Gon, and he's explaining to him what Gon did, and then he got his arm broke, and then this happened, the guy threatened to cut his legs off, and he still wouldn't do it, he's so stubborn, and they're having a laugh about it. The great thing about this was that the father goes and looks at Killua, and he's just like, listen, he goes, do you really like these friends? Do you want to go and see these friends? Do you want to see these friends, And Killua doesn't answer at first, and he says, listen, says you should be able to do, what you want to do. And if you've made some friends and this and that, almost seems like he's trying to be cool and have a heart and say, hey, listen, is this what you want to do? So he asks him, and Killua said, I thought it was going to be a thing where when Killua said yes, man, he's just going to bust him upside the head or tear his ear off or some crazy thing like that, because that's the type of family this seems like. Anyway, so he says, okay, go ahead, go be with your friends. The neat thing, though, about this whole thing is that we see that Killua in the Zoldyck family history has the most promise and potential, and the whole idea behind this is that they were trying to groom him. The reason the mother's so freakishly pissed off about this, not only did he obviously attack her and attack the brother before he left, but he has the most potential in the family to be the greatest Zoldyck ever, and to be able to obviously eventually take over as head of the family, right? So it was cool because then the mother comes bursting in and bitching at Silva, and he's just like, shut up, woman. He's like, listen, this is how it is. We're going to let him go off and do what he wants to do for right now. But don't worry, he'll be back. He'll be back as an assassin. And I think his mentality behind this is that, listen, if we try to go and keep him from this type of thing, from living a life that he's now seen that he might like to have, he's only going to get worse as time goes on. He's only going to become more withdrawn and get further away from the family. If I'm cool to him and I'm like, hey, your dad says it's all right, man, go ahead, have a good time, do what you do, he'll eventually, he's an assassin. He's got that in his bloods. He's got that in his blood, in his lineage. He's going to wind up coming back, you know. And then he'll be even stronger. And then he'll be, you know, and then he'll have kind of one of those things where they say, like, you know, sow your wild oats and all that stuff. You know, they say for, like, you know, guys, basically, before you get married, to go basically fuck anything that you can. Because once you're married, it's the same thing and everything, blah, blah. And a lot of people can get very tired of that, thinking they want it at first. But then after a few years, it's like, ah, geez, I don't know if this is what I wanted. So I think that's really what it is. It's like, let's let him go. Let's let him be free. Let him do his shit. Man, he wants to have friends. He wants to party. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. But he'll come back to us as an assassin. So that's what I took from it. All in all, though, a really cool episode. And, I mean, they're only getting better here. And from what I've heard and everybody in the comments, or what I've read from everybody in the comments, I shouldn't say heard and like hear the comments, but, you know, is that it only gets better. And that, you know, this arc is about, there's only, I think, an episode or two left in it. And then we're going into the next one, which I believe, from what everybody told me, is on the shorter side, maybe 10, 12, 15 episodes. And then I guess we're going into what's one of the best arcs in there, this York New City arc. So I'm looking forward to all of it. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what were your thoughts on I guess, the confrontation, the conversation between Silva and Killua? What were your thoughts on that and how Silva handled the whole thing? To me, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, man. Like I said, I just kept waiting for him to, like, tear Killua apart or do something crazy, because it just seemed like he was too calm and cool and collective when we had seen most of the rest of the family were freaks, you know, with the exception of the grandfather, you know, the old and wise guy. So let me know what your thoughts are, though, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you should think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you hunters in the next one, Nation.
Even this guy would probably shit his pants when he met Zoldyck family. Remember to follow me on other channel, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook too.